Welcome to the Ad Nauseam podcast, where classical gourmands everywhere can finally get their fill. Join us for a delectable discussion of Greco-Roman civilization stretching from the Minoans and Mycenaeans through the Renaissance and right down to the present. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here are your hosts, Dr. David Noe and Dr. Jeff Winkle.
Welcome, Ad Nauseam listeners, to episode 195 of our humble little podcast. My name is Dr. Jeff Winkle. I'm down here in the bunker, Parnassus. What do we call this place? This is
Vomitorium Central.
Why can't I get that straight?
I don't know. You also forgot to mention your middle initial, which is going to play into the episode.
Oh, right. Of course. Exactly.
Yes.
So I am Dr. Jeffrey T. Winkle.
And now I ask you, what does the T stand for?
Okay, you're going to ask right away?
No.
Okay, let's save it.
Okay,
but I would like to announce that other voice that you hear is my good friend and excellent co-host, Dr. David C. Noe.
Thank you.
How are you doing? And maybe I ask you, what does the C stand for?
Well, the C stands for something, but first I'm going to defer like you did.
All right.
And there are a number of words I don't use. I try not to use the E word.
Excitement.
Excitement.
Yeah.
Right. I try not to use the A word. Awesome.
Awesome. Right.
But I am feeling both excited about this coming episode.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to be awesome.
Wow. You don't often use that F word either.
I don't know.
Feel.
Yeah,
right? Exactly.
That's right. I'm just dropping hipster language all over the place.
Yeah, man. Okay. Well, I look forward to this. This could be very interesting.
It could be very interesting. The C stands for catalectic.
What on earth does that mean?
Catalectic is a meter. Describes a line of verse metrically incomplete. It's missing one or more syllables at the end. My life is unfinished. My thoughts are unfinished. Sometimes my sentences are. And so they should be described as catalectic.
I see. Yeah.
And what does the T stand for?
The T stands for Thomas.
What is Thomas?
Well, I like
is that a guy that follows Thomas Aquinas?
It could be, but I like it for two reasons. One, it sounds very close to my actual middle name, Thomas.
Nice.
But it also dovetails nicely with our theme today. We're talking about some Ovid.
Right.
And Thomas is the region on the Black Sea where Ovid himself was exiled and spent the last years of his life.
Yep. He was sent there because of some indiscretion, as he says.
He's a Carmen et error, right? A song and a mistake.
Epistolae ex Ponto. He sends a bunch of letters from that region, Pontus, Thomas is in Pontus, back to Rome. Basically, lots of whining along the lines of Augustus, bring me back.
Yeah.
The coffee here is terrible.
So, did you feel bad for him there, or are you more like, stop your whining?
No, I have always felt bad for Ovid.
Me too.
I have always found him such a sympathetic character.
Yeah.
Thomas, the T stands for Thomas. So you're doing well.
I'm doing well.
Got your Latinate T-shirt on.
I do. I have it once again. It's almost become my uniform here for being in Parnassus. Yeah. I'm feeling good. How about yourself? You doing all right?
Doing very well.
Yep.
Yep. I went to the dentist yesterday.
Ooh.
Was exposed to a strange word, right?
Yeah.
My life is a series of encounters with strange words, basically. Yes. The hygienist was asking me about my general hygienic routine.
Yes.
And in the words of Nathan Pyle, the great comic strip author, Strange Planet, you know him?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, she asked me if I was pushing string. Yeah, do you floss?
Yeah.
I said several times a day.
Several times?
And she said gorge.
Did she really?
She did.
She's shortened gorgeous?
Yes, apparently that's it these days, Jeff.
Yeah?
The young folks, because she was much younger than I, the young folks are saying gorge, because she then did it again.
Yeah.
She said, do you consume a lot of sugary snacks and so forth to rot your teeth? Or in the words of Nathan Pyle, your mouth stones?
Yes.
And I said, no, I hardly ever have sugar. Gorge.
Really?
Once again.
She dropped another gorge.
It's a double gorge.
Right. Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
It's interesting. I remember doing that. I think every generation does it to some degree. I remember as a kid, it was local Jennison slang.
Yes.
To describe something as cool, we would say, "Oh, that's dece."
Dece? I never heard that. Decent.
For decent, right? And then I remember
rad, of course.
Rad, exactly.
You can't be bothered to put in all three syllables. Radical.
Exactly.
Someone might confuse it with a mathematical term.
Yeah.
So you shorten it to rad.
Yes. And I remember when I was in high school, one of my teachers in class complaining about his daughter, who was much younger than I was, saying, complaining that she was using a phrase like, "Are you seer?" Right? And shortening serious.
Again.
So this must be just a thing that every generation does. But I have never heard.
You never heard gorge.
I've
now
never
you
heard
have,
gorge.
and I suggest, Jeff, that you start using it.
Oh, man.
Get out ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
The quickest way to stop young people from using terms we don't like is to use them ourselves.
Exactly, right. In class the other day, I had this is a rather haunting experience.
Okay.
Where I have a wonderful but very chatty vocal young woman in my class, and she likes to kind of ask questions out of nowhere that often don't have anything to do with mythology. And in the middle of class, she raised her hand and said, "Professor Winkle, when you go out on your hot girl walks, what kind of shoes do you prefer to wear?"
What in the world is an HGW?
I said to her, I said, Caitlin, I know all those are words, but I have no idea what you're trying to say to me.
And there may be English words even,
right.
But it's not hitting me as gorge.
Exactly, right. So, it was, so that I'm going to start using that phrase too.
What does it mean?
I guess it means when you're out and you're feeling good about yourself and your whole ensemble.
Right.
What kind of shoes would you add to that ensemble when you want to be seen?
When you're drippy.
Yeah.
Have you heard that one?
I have, right. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Nice drip.
So what did you answer?
I said, I think I own 2 pairs of shoes.
Right.
It's probably going to be one of those 2 pairs.
And you decide which one to wear based on which one is closer to you.
Exactly right.
Pair 1 is by the door. Pair 2 is over in the closet.
Right.
It's pair 1.
It's pair 1, exactly. So she did not like that answer. But,
well,
what are you going to do? I was honest.
What are you going to do?
Right. But if you ever catch me out on a hot girl walk, please call me out on it.
I'm going to walk the other way, I tell you that. So we have a shout out.
Yes, we do.
We've got a corrigendum and we have a fancy drawing.
Okay,
which should we do first?
Let's
pair 1, pair 2.
Let's get right to the drawing.
Okay,
let's start there. Yep.
All right. So we have in our drawing, by my count, 16 names.
Excellent. And what is this for again?
This is for A Plato Reader by Hackett, a wonderful translation edited by our fellow Reeve. A lovely cover, and this is a giveaway. The good folks at Hackett are sending the lucky recipient who wins in the drawing. I'm trying to drag it out to build suspense. This book.
Yes.
So we got all the names here, and they are listed randomly. You've never seen it.
I've not.
But I'm going to use a random number generator.
Okay.
Pick a number between 3 and 18. I'm asking the generator.
Mm-hmm.
Mishka put in a little bit of a drum roll here. And the number is 7.
7.
Now, corresponding to the number 7 is Estella.
Estella.
Yes.
Excellent.
M. Estella. So Estella is her first name, last name M. I happen to know this young woman lives in Canada.
All right.
And Hackett said they could ship to Canada. So congratulations, Estella. You are the lucky winner of a Hackett volume that is a Plato Reader.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
And up next, Jeff.
Yes. Let's get the corrigendum out of the way.
Okay.
Can we? Yeah. So what do we do now?
Well, this one is actually my fault.
Okay.
It's something I messed up once again, and I caught it myself.
You did?
Yes.
So you did not have to hear from that Australian guy?
Tom, I think his name is, or Jim, or Bob.
Yeah.
Or the local guy, Will Fitzgerald.
Oh, man.
Who's always busting our chops.
That's right. But so this is a self corrigendum.
Yes.
So what was the problem?
Well, there's this common Latin phrase, ni fallor, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Right? Then I happen to know the Greek equivalent, eme psalomai, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
When you think about that form, psalomai, right? It's going to be passive, if I am not deceived.
Yes.
Now, in one of my many moments of showing off, I said, if we're not deceived, which would not be, as I said, eme psalomen, with the active ending, it would be eme psalomatha, with the passive ending.
Gotcha.
I know that all of our listeners caught that.
Yes.
And they had sleepless nights.
Exactly.
And now I have finally come clean and fixed it from the active ending to the passive.
Thank goodness. I know it was bugging me.
Was it bugging you?
All week long.
Yeah. So I am my own Will Fitzgerald now.
Yes. Fantastic. Well,
Got
thank you
that
for
out of the
taking
way.
care of that. Yeah.
All right.
And now we do have this shout out, Dave.
Yes, we do.
This comes from one Reverend Gregory E. Reynolds.
Yes, that's right.
Is this someone you know?
Yes, he's a friend of mine, Greg E. Reynolds. I guess the E stands for, well, we won't do that.
we won't subject him to
Shout
that.
outers. He's the pastor emeritus of Amaskeg Presbyterian Church. He is the editor of Ordained Servant, which is a journal for church officers, something I've published in a few times. And he lives in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Oh, wow. Have you ever been out? I've been through New Hampshire, but
Really?
I never stopped in Manchester, no.
I have never been to New England other than Massachusetts.
Okay.
Which I guess Massachusetts counts. I've been to.
Oh, absolutely.
I've been to Boston.
Yeah.
But the rest of New England,
never north of there.
never.
Oh man,
I'd love to go out there during the fall. This is prime time.
Prime time, yeah.
See the haunts of Nathan Crimson Digit Hawthorne and
Yeah.
Melville and the other folks.
Yeah, that's a beautiful part of the country.
Yeah.
Beck and I honeymooned in Maine and Boston as well.
Nice.
Yeah, love it out there. Yeah.
Okay. So what does Greg Reynolds have to say?
He says that he's known you, Dave, for many years.
Poor fellow.
And he tells us about he's got some interesting reading that he's currently doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he says he's been reading Dante's Divine Comedy. He's been going through Homer's Odyssey, Augustine's Confessions, Cochrane's Christianity and Classical Culture, just to, as he puts it, to remedy my ignorance of ancient things.
I like that.
So,
Charles Cochrane.
Yeah.
I think it's Charles Cochrane. That's an excellent book.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. Christianity and Classical Culture. Very good read.
Excellent. Yeah. What else about Reverend Reynolds that you can tell us?
Well, he says, when asked, how did you become a poet? Robert Frost answered, I followed a procession down the ages. To help me follow this procession, I contacted Dave, that's me, for recommendations among the ancient poets. As a poet, I have been studying the lives of Robert Frost, T.S. Eliot, and John Keats. Those three fellows are all within the last couple hundred years, aren't they?
I think that's right. Yep.
Yeah, so do they even count as poets?
Do you have to be... How old?
You
how
have to
far
have
back
been
do you
dead
go back?
A couple hundred years minimum.
Considered a poet?
I believe so.
Really? Wow, that's... Okay.
All right. They were all classically educated, and I now have time in semi-retirement to explore the ancient world, especially its poets. Meanwhile, Dave acquainted me with the Ad Nauseam podcast.
Fantastic. So I take it we are helping him on his journey.
I hope so.
Yes.
I like what he says here at the very end. Maybe, well, he says a lot of nice things. We're not reading all the self-congratulatory stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe you could read just the last sentence.
He says, I think I'm becoming addicted.
I think he means to the podcast.
Yes.
So we're very grateful for that. Thank you, Greg, for listening, for keeping the flame alive out there by studying, keeping it lit, studying the poets and the ancients. We're very appreciative of your patronage.
Yes, we are. All right, Dave, what are we talking about today?
We have 2 more Ovidian vignettes.
Yes.
So these are going to add to the steady and expanding catalog of Ovidian portions we've covered.
That's right.
For example, episode 9, a fisherman, a farmer, and a shepherd walk into a painting. That was your title. Ovid and Bruegel's Fall of Icarus.
That's right.
We had Paul, Barnabas, Baucis, and Philemon in Lystra, episode 42.
Mm-hmm.
We riffed on, what's his name, Huey Lewis. This would be episode 59, The Power of Love.
Oh, yeah.
That's The Power of Love. This was Apollo and Daphne, Diana and Actaeon.
Yeah.
Then one that I really liked that you gave us, episode 61, Sedimental Journeys.
Yeah, what was that one about?
Perseus and Atlas.
Yep.
And the Death of Niobe.
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe my favorite, No Meat, Please, were Pythagoreans. This is episode 81, Pythagoras in book 15 of Ovid's Metamorphoses. And another one of yours, What Do You Know?
Oh, yeah.
Episode 82.
That was Deucalion and Pyrrha, right?
Deucalion and Pyrrha and the Flood.
Yep.
This was your title too. Number 123, Guilty as Charged.
Oh, yeah. No, that's got to be Midas, right?
That's a howler. Arachne and King Midas.
Yes.
And then episode 132, Io Wanna Be a Cowboy.
That was yours.
That was me. Aeschylus's Prometheus Bound, part 3. So that was about the Prometheus Bound, but of course we had to work in some Ovid.
That's right.
Because who is Io, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So we've done quite a bit of Ovid.
Well, there's one more.
Oh, my goodness.
But didn't Disney adapt the story of Io? They had a little bit of a theme song, I-O, I'm now a cow you know.
Yeah, I think that was something like that.
Okay.
Right.
And it's episode 171, actually, was the last time that we touched on Ovid with the vignettes, and it was the Hunger Games swan song.
Oh, that's right.
We were trying to combine 2 different things.
Yeah.
Erysichthon and Cycnus in 2 more Ovidian vignettes. So that was 171. It was about 24 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Now we find ourselves back on Ovid, and we're going to be talking today about Aesacus and Hesperia. And then in the second half of the show,
we're going to talk about Pomona and Vertumnus.
That's correct.
Yeah. All right, Dave, let's tackle this first vignette. So,
yes.
Aesacus and Hesperia. So, first of all, who is Aesacus?
So, he's a prince of Troy, the son of King Priam, and a nymph, Alexiroe. Although there are 2 versions of this story. Apollodorus of Athens, right, who wrote his work, The Library, says that Priam's first wife was a woman named Arisbe. I don't know if this would be Mrs. Arisbe and the Rats of Nim. I doubt it. But
probably not. No,
also a good story.
Yes, great one.
So Apollodorus says that Priam, before he married Hecuba, had a wife named Arisbe, and by her he had this young man, Aesacus. So Aesacus would then be the half-brother of Hector and Paris, or perhaps, and this is the story that we're given in Ovid, he is the son of Priam and the nymph Alexiroe.
Okay. Now, do you know, is he mentioned in the Iliad at all?
Actually, no, he's not.
He's not, okay.
Yep, and that is because this is part of the backstory. It was he, as a prophet, who interpreted the dream that his grandfather, he inherited dream interpretation from Grandpa Merops.
Okay.
And this was the prophecy, right, that someone was going to be born who would destroy Troy. Hecuba had this dream about the birth of Paris. She's giving birth to a flaming torch.
Yeah.
And, of course, that means Troy's going to be destroyed.
Yes.
It was Aesacus who interpreted the dream.
Gotcha. Okay.
So he's a seer.
All right.
But his story comes right at the end of Book 11 of the Metamorphoses. And the segue that Ovid uses is a really interesting one, I would say, because the story that precedes it is the famous story of Ceyx and Alcyone.
Okay. This
is a husband and wife pair that are turned into birds.
That's right.
And the Alcyone or Alcyone is the kingfisher, right? So it's an explanation of where the halcyon days come from. Right?
Oh, right.
The kingfisher days.
Yes.
So I'm reading here, just for the segue, from Lombardo's translation. This is page 319. And so we have Ceyx and Alcyone transformed into birds. And then he says, an old man saw these two birds flying together, Ceyx and Alcyone, and praised their love's long perseverance. Someone nearby, or perhaps the same person, pointed to a long-necked diver and said... Now, this long-necked diver is another kind of bird. So this segue, Jeff, this transition is very interesting in Ovid because sometimes his transitions are so-and-so got turned into a tree. Another guy that got turned into a tree is. So it's kind of obvious, but other times it's a genealogical connection, right? So so-and-so fell in love, but then this is what happened to his grandson.
Right.
Other times they seem so flimsy. Like this one.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, Ovid does this sometimes. Actually, what you just quoted there, I really quite like. It reminds me of going back to the Icarus story.
Yes.
Where's that moment where he kind of takes the camera and brings it down to earth and says, some shepherd or plowman or a fisherman, you might imagine them looking in the sky and seeing these two guys flying and thinking X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And so in that story, he doesn't use it as a transition, but I like when he kind of brings this down and kind of gives us kind of other interpreters to move the story along.
And they're anonymous.
Yeah.
Which I really like. And not only are they anonymous, but he even says, or maybe it wasn't like this, right? So there's so much ambiguity introduced into the story before we get the narrative.
Yeah.
An old man saw these two birds flying together. Hey, there's two birds, Ceyx and Alcyone. And what did he derive from that? They must really love each other, just like they did in life. So in preparation for this episode, and we're going to quote it later, I was reading an article by a guy named Ridaho, and he was talking about the different man into beast transformations in Ovid.
Yes.
And one of the really nice points that he makes is that sometimes the character of the human being carries over into the character of the animal.
Yeah.
And sometimes the new ferocity of the animal, now you have claws, now you have teeth, now you can run fast like a cheetah, eclipses or dominates the human character.
Yeah.
And that's a cause for fear, right?
Yes. Yep.
So here we have this anonymous old man who has found out that Ceyx and Alcyone, they loved each other in human form. Their love continues as birds.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice.
So someone nearby the old man, and then he says, or maybe it was the same person. Maybe it was the old man.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, Ovid, why are you doing that?
Well, I think one of the reasons he does that, I mean, as a reader or as someone in the audience, in some ways it makes it easier for you to put yourself in that spot. And then you become the interpreter. It's easier for you to imagine you standing there and becoming kind of the idealized audience.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
We know that G.B. Rideau, we're going to get to this article eventually, Rideau makes a point about that too, which I found so fascinating. And that is that when he describes the transformations, if he wants us to be sympathetic to the transformation, he describes those things that are quintessentially human, like losing fingers being combined into a paw or a fin.
Yeah.
Because the human hand, right, is marvelously dexterous. You can play a guitar with it.
Yeah.
Or he'll talk about the tongue, especially, which is the mark of being a human being. You can speak.
Yeah.
The person losing their tongue. When he wants to dehumanize, then he doesn't talk about those quintessentially human features, but he talks about things that you could say we share in common, with the beasts, like breathing and eating and so forth. So I thought that was
very interesting,
quite insightful.
Yes.
But then, the stranger, someone nearby, perhaps the same person, pointed to a long-necked diver, this is another kind of bird, and said, and then we get the quote.
Gotcha. Well, I think we should start with some Latin.
I agree.
All right.
Shall I read a few lines?
Do it.
Okay, so this is once again Book 11, and it's starting at line 752. Quem mardre carpen tem sub stricta quacrura gerentem, aspicus ostendens spatiosin gutura mergum, regia progenies et si descende radipsum, ordine perpetuo quaedris sunt huius origo, illis et as ardricus raptusque Jovi ganamedes, leo madanque senex priamusque novissima Troiae.
Excellent.
And can you read the translation for us of that portion, maybe from Lombardo?
Yes. Lombardo translates, that bird, the one trailing his slender legs as he skims the water, has a royal pedigree too, going all the way back to Jupiter himself in an unbroken line. You have Ilus next, and then Aesacus, Ganymede, the boy Jupiter abducted, old Laomedon, and Priam, whose lot was the last days of Troy. He was Hector's brother, and if he hadn't met his strange fate when he was young, his name would be as famous as Hector's. Hecuba was Hector's mother, but this one, Aesacus, and was born in secret under the shade of Mount Ida to Alexaroe, daughter of the Granicus River.
Interesting.
I had no idea of this. This is a fascinating backstory.
Well, Jeff, you said last time when we were preparing for this, you said you were going to pick something that you thought was innately interesting.
Yeah.
But you were also going to pick something that challenged you.
Yeah.
That is a more obscure story maybe that you hadn't covered before. Now, I've taught on this particular epic many times, like you have. I don't know, a dozen.
Yeah.
I didn't remember the story of Aesacus and Hesperia.
No.
And I wanted to challenge myself too. So I chose this one.
Excellent. Yeah, no, when you told me earlier this week that you were doing this one, I have no idea what that episode is about. And it also reminds me, we were going through that list of, all of the vignettes we've covered so far, which is quite a few, but we've barely scratched the surface
there's
of
something,
this massive epic.
There's something like 240 different mythological stories.
Yeah.
So we have barely scratched the surface. The one common theme, of course, to get a little metamorphosis, right, is transformation.
Right.
But the transformations are all a result of love in some sense, or some sort of suffering.
Yes, exactly. Well, take us deeper into this tale. What happens here, and what is this all about?
Great question, Jeff. Well, it starts with unrequited love.
As so many of these stories do.
Yes, they do. It leaves me with the question, why can't love be requited?
Well, it can be.
Requite already.
Yes, exactly. Does it remain unrequited, or am I jumping the gun here? Is it a spoiler?
It remains unrequited.
As it often does in Ovid.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
So first we get a little bit of the backstory, you might say, of this individual, our friend Aesacus. And again, quoting from the Lombardo translation. So we get a little bit of a characterization. This is page 320 of Lombardo. The boy hated cities and lived in the country, and on remote mountainsides far away from gleaming palace halls, and hardly ever went into town to mingle with Trojan society. So what do you think, Jeff? Well, is this like the Wendell Berry of antiquity?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that just at a glance could be going on here. One, you often find in these kinds of tales an idealization of nature.
That's correct.
Right? So it could suggest that our guy here he's kind of closer to the golden age, and we're supposed to admire this about him.
Yes.
However, it could also mean that he's out of balance. And
that's where I was headed.
And that he's too much in nature, and he's by scorning the city.
That's right.
This is going to set him up for failure.
So this is the Aristotelian notion in the ethics, Nicomachean ethics, of the maiden agon, right? Nothing in excess.
Right.
Don't overdo anything. And apparently this was inscribed on the temple at Delphi.
Yes.
Right? Don't overdo it.
Right.
So it's okay to prefer the countryside to the city, but it isn't okay to hate the city and to never go there.
Indeed.
Because that's a sign of immoderation.
Right.
It puts me in mind of Euripides, the Hippolytus, right?
Yes.
Hippolytus is all in for Artemis.
Yes.
He thinks that everything Artemis does is gorge. But how does he feel about Aphrodite?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, because he scorns Aphrodite.
That's correct.
Right.
When Aphrodite goes out for her hot girl walk.
Which she did daily.
I can't even say that without a straight face. In her chariot pulled by doves.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
How did Hippolytus react?
No, he didn't react like the way you're supposed to react.
That's right. You're supposed to have some fellow feeling, right? Because romantic love is a part of the human experience. So to reject it altogether is excessive. It's immoderate.
Yes. Now, as a young man, as a boy who grew up on a farm,
That's me.
did you feel like the pull to the city as a way of kind of balancing that? Because you were kind of like Aesacus here, right?
Yeah,
always
that's
out
right.
out in the field and in the
Hated cities and lived in the country.
Yes. Were you kind of like John Mellencamp, and you kind of like sneered at the city because you were born in a small town? Or?
Yeah, I was definitely born in a small town. No, I didn't sneer at the city.
Yeah.
Because I had books.
Okay.
And these books opened up a world to me of strange and distant places that I desperately wanted to visit.
Aha.
So I would say that's a little bit of dissonance introduced into my heart, right?
Yeah.
I had it so good in the rural environment in which I was raised. I had it so good, but then there's a little bit of maybe discontentment. I'd like to see, the larger world.
Yes.
So like Country Mouse, I threw the pole over my shoulder.
Yeah.
I tied up all my belongings in a bandana.
Yeah.
And I
you made your way off.
tied it onto the stick. I walked down to the railroad track and hopped the train to, I don't know, Joplin, Missouri or something like that.
Right. Well, I think
none of that ever happened.
I think Ovid would say that's how it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, he would.
That discontent led you to balance your civilization in nature.
To a bigger world.
Yes.
But then as I grow older, right, this is based on a comment from our friend Christina Dimitra,
yes.
our Greek guide. She loved to quote Freud to us.
She did. That's right. Yeah.
She used to say that what Freud said was what you hate as a child, you love as an adult. Now, I never hated the countryside, but I very much wanted to see the world.
Yeah.
Now, as I get older, I'm really drawn back to that rural setting.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just grass is greener kind of phenomenon. I don't know.
I think there's some truth to that. I have a good friend who is like a hiking fanatic.
Oh yeah.
And she was telling my wife and I a story about how her parents, when she was a kid, were constantly trying to get her dragging out camping and hiking, and she hated it.
Yeah.
And now it's her life's blood.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do find this is true in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Maybe not universally. But back to Aesacus, as Lombardo says, the boy hated cities. That's a tell, right? Mm-hmm. Whenever Ovid describes a character as having a unbalanced emotional reaction to something, you're about to get something bad.
Indeed.
And he lived in the country, from gleaming palace halls, and hardly ever went into town to mingle with Trojan society. Not that he was a bumpkin. And he did have a heart that was vulnerable to love.
Okay.
So here's the second part of the story. We got the backstory. Now we get what's going to happen, the fatal attraction.
So
right?
those details that that he wasn't a bumpkin and he's not opposed to love. Ovid kind of opens the door for he hated cities, but here's a little bit of hope.
That's right.
Okay.
Hope for balance, hope for change, right? Many a time he would chase Hesperia all through the woods. He had seen her. She was Kebron's daughter, drying her hair, which fanned out on her shoulders. Now, Kebron is a river, right? She's a river nymph. On the banks of her father's river, she would dry her hair, fanning it out on her shoulders.
Now, this is a perfect place to make an oat milk joke, but
Yes.
I'm going to refrain.
Fructus Garnier, something like that.
Right.
But this is obviously very cinematic, right?
Yes.
The young lady standing by the river, she's playing with her hair, and
Yes.
there, the camera pans to Aesacus. He's watching her as she combs her hair.
Yes.
It's an interesting thing.
It's a gauzy filter, and it's also in slow-mo as she's kind of shaking her hair back and forth. Right.
Reminding me of the episode in which we discussed, who was it? Brad Pitt and the movie Troy, More Bods Than Gods.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's where the notion of this is like a shampoo commercial.
It was very
That's
much
where
so.
that came from.
Yeah.
So he had seen her, and of course, then he fell in love with her. So we have hints here of Apollo and Daphne, right? But what is it that drives all the way back to Book 1? What is it that drives Apollo to chase Daphne?
It's the arrows of Cupid.
Exactly.
Yeah. But so what's going on here, though?
Well, it's true love, apparently.
Okay.
But the nymph ran at the sight of him.
She was freaked out.
She was not interested in the slow-mo and what kind of filter? The glossy filter?
Gauzy.
Gauzy, sorry.
Yeah. So this is interesting though. So there's no Eros here.
No.
Manipulating or pulling the puppet strings.
No.
She sees him and freaks out and takes off.
That's correct.
Okay.
The nymph ran at the sight of him. Then we get a number of nice, I would say, epic similes.
Yep.
She ran like a frightened deer running away from a tawny wolf, or like a wild duck winging away from a hawk and its abandoned pond. Now, what's really interesting about these epic similes is that they are foreshadowing, right?
Yeah.
The one is quite violent, a frightened deer running from a tawny wolf, right? So the wolf here is Aesacus, whose intentions are not noble, right? But rapacious, and she is the frightened deer. But then we get a little gentler one, maybe, the wild duck winging away from a hawk. Now, the reason that's interesting is because what's going to happen to Aesacus?
Well, what is going to happen? I'm sitting on the edge of my seat.
He's going to get turned into a bird.
Oh, of course.
He's going to turn into a bird. So here in the epic simile, he is compared to a bird. But the Trojan hero kept after her, his speed coming from love as hers from fear. So a nice little parallelism, right? He runs faster and faster all the time from love, or maybe we should say desire, because I don't know if it qualifies as love.
Yeah.
But she runs faster and faster from fear. Do you remember the epic simile in Apollo and Daphne? I think it's a rabbit, right? Isn't it?
Where Daphne is compared to a rabbit being chased. Yeah, I think that's right.
And then the dog is coming after her.
Yes.
And she runs faster and faster. He runs faster and faster. But then to rescue her, she is transformed into the tree, right? The laurel tree.
Now, I find this interesting. That I'm looking at in front of me. I have the A.S. Klein translation, and you're reading from Lombardo.
That's correct.
And they both translate or refer to or use the word love.
Right.
And I'd be curious to kind of look at what the Latin is, because is Ovid blurring the line between what I usually think of or conceive of when I hear the word love versus something like lust?
Yes.
Because that's what seems to be implied here.
The word is actually amore.
Oh, okay.
Which, of course, can be translated as love, and I would say it's generally either positive or neutral. In terms of moral connotations. However, I don't think Ovid is concerned, living in a pre-Christian world.
Right.
I don't think he is as concerned about the distinction between a kind of noble, self-sacrificing love and a kind of passion, right?
Right.
Amor has a pretty wide range sometimes.
Yes. Well said.
Thank you. But then this next part is kind of surprising. His speed coming from love as hers from fear, and then you see a snake hidden in the grass bit her on the foot as she raced along. Did you see that coming, Jeff?
I did not.
Neither did Hesperia.
Right. But if we had read, Orpheus and Eurydice, we should have seen this coming.
It's the story.
It's the same thing happened.
Eurydice is being chased by Aristeus, a son of Apollo. And, I mean, if you run too fast through the woods or through a meadow, what's going to happen to you?
You're going to be bitten by a serpent.
You're going to step on a snake.
Yeah.
Couldn't she have worn a pair of Nikes or...
A lot of people wearing heavier shoes in mythology could avoid a lot of trouble. Yeah.
Does Nike sell a pair of anti-snake shoes? Or
if they don't, they should.
They should.
Yep.
And its curved fangs left their poison, continues Lombardo, in her veins. Her flight ended with her life. So no transformation for Hesperia, she does not get turned into a tree in order to rescue her.
Yeah.
She doesn't fly off as a bird, as so often happens.
Right.
She dies by snake bite.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, this reminds me of when I cover these kinds of stories in my myth class. I've never done this one specifically, but I get a complaint largely from the female cohort.
Okay.
Like, why do the women always die?
Yeah.
And
why do they suffer more?
Why do they suffer more? Why do they kind of bear the tragic blunt so much more often?
Yeah.
But I mean, there too, we could be bringing kind of modern conceptions of fair is fair equality into it that just don't apply.
Here's the simple answer, which I think is wrong, and that is that the poem is written by a man. Right. I think it's the simple answer. Well, Ovid wrote it, and he just didn't care as much about the fate of the woman because he is himself a man. I think that's wrong because I think it's too narrow.
Yeah.
While I don't believe I can understand. I mean, I don't know what the percentage is of what it would be like to be a woman.
Yeah.
I don't accept the notion that there isn't some common humanity between the genders such that you can sympathize with the suffering of others,
right,
whether they're male or female.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I would also say, I think that, Ovid was working from the point of view that, physically, women tend to be more vulnerable, right? And they are, if they are going to be violent situations like this, chances are they are going to be the victims or the intended victim.
Yeah, because of differentials in physical strength.
Yeah.
Okay. Her flight ended with her life, continues Lombardo, translating Ovid. The lover, Aesacus, out of his mind with grief, held the lifeless body and cried out. Do you want to read us the Klein translation there of what he said?
Yes, he cries out, I regret I followed you, but I did not expect this, and it was not worth this to attempt to win you. We too have destroyed you, poor girl, the wound given by a snake, the cause of it all myself. Let me be the more accursed if I do not send you solace by my death. So these extreme emotions, right?
Yes.
So it's love. It's deep passion at first sight. He can't control himself. He chases her.
Right.
And now once he dies, now he's deeply grieving.
Yes.
And he apparently thinks I have no choice but suicide.
And it's different, too, than Apollo and Daphne, because when Apollo finally catches up with Daphne, and as she is being transformed into the tree, he continues to try to shower affection on her.
Yes.
And in fact, she conceives a child by him.
Yes, indeed. I mean, in the bizarre biology that
the crazy world of Ovid.
Only find here.
So what do you think about Aesacus' response? I find this kind of noble. He regrets his chasing, his pursuit of her, because he would rather not have her, right?
Yeah.
Than have her die.
Right.
It's not especially Ovidian.
No, it's not. I mean, the parallels with Apollo and Daphne are very clear. But one of the things I like about this is both these. Well, at least Aesacus is he's mortal, right? And so he doesn't have that kind of divine.
Though descended from Jupiter.
But it's not like Apollo and Daphne, where you have Eros. That's kind of it's one god. Manipulating another god.
Right.
This is very human.
Right.
And that's one of the things I like about it.
Okay. So then what does he do next, right? That said, continues Lombardo, he jumped off a high cliff that was eaten out by the thundering waves down into the sea. But Tethys, so here we have the Dea ex machina, right? The goddess from the machine. Tethys, pitying him, brought him down gently, and as he floated, covered him with feathers, and so denied him the death that he sought. So he tries to hurl himself off a cliff, overcome with remorse, but as he's rapidly falling, what happens? His descent decelerates, and he's covered with feathers, and Tethys brings him down slowly and lays him on the beach, basically.
Yeah. Now, I find the next detail really interesting is you might think that Aesacus is relieved, like that was a terrible mistake to jump.
He's grateful.
But he's not.
No.
He doesn't like it.
Do you want to read what Klein says?
Sure. He says, the lover, that is Aesacus, was angered that he was forced to live against his will and that his spirit was thwarted, wishing to leave its unhappy residence. When he had gained the new wings on his shoulders, he flew up and threw his body again into the sea. His feathers broke his fall. In a rage, Aesacus dived headlong into the deep and tried endlessly to find a path to death. His love made him lean. His legs are long between the joints. His neck remained long. His head is far from his body. He loves seawater, and from diving there, he takes his name, Mergus, the diver.
Yeah.
So he continues to try to off himself, even in bird form.
Right. So mergus is a gull, right? Seagull. Mm-hmm. And of course, Latin mergo means to put oneself underwater.
Right, so submerge.
Exactly, right. Submergo. And to come out of the water is amergo, right? Mm-hmm. So Ovid is giving now an etymology, a just so story. Right?
Yeah.
Where did the gull come from? The thing that goes down repeatedly into the water. Well, what he's trying to do is end his life because of lost love for Hesperia.
Yeah.
Why has that bird got such long legs and slender neck? Well, because he's starved from love.
Yes, I love it. And I would go so far to say, this is not very Ovidian, but my experience with gulls along the beach of Lake Michigan, it would explain why they are such cranky birds.
They're awful. Yeah. Now, by themselves, there's a certain nobility, right, to the way they move around, but get them into a group, they're just terrible.
Exactly.
Throw a piece of bread in there, you better run for cover, right?
It is Darwinian.
It's awful.
Yes.
So Aesacus, here I'm reading about this bird, is a genus of bird in the stone curlew family.
Okay. I'm not familiar with.
I'm not either. Yeah. I'm just reading words. Burunidae. The genus is distributed from Pakistan and India all the way to Australia. So that bird has a wide range. It contains 2 species: the great stone curlew and the beach stone curlew. The name is from ancient Greek Aesacus. This is Wikipedia. An unidentified bird variously associated with the robin. Definitely not.
No.
The shorebird, which I don't know what that is, or the cormorant. So the cormorant or the seagull, Ovid thinks it's a gull, right? Because he says mergus.
Yeah.
But it could have been any of these birds that live along the seashore and dive repeatedly.
Yeah.
Poor Aesacus.
Poor Aesacus, right. So forced to live.
Yes,
and
against his will.
Against his will and not happy about it.
Yeah, and speaking of diving repeatedly, it's time for the ads.
Do it. This episode of Ad Nauseam is brought to you by Ratio Coffee. Mark Helwig, the great entrepreneur, has done it. He has brought quality, sleek, attractive coffee machines to the masses with this incredible pour-over machine, Dave, that both you have had a number of these machines. I've kind of sampled them all. I currently have the Ratio 8, the flagship, on my counter. You're more of a 4 guy right now.
You also have the 4, but yes, I'm a 4 guy now. In fact, in a rare move, I had 2 pots of coffee this morning.
What in the world? What's going on?
Well, I just wanted the delicious flavor. Now, they're very small pots, you understand. It'd be like 2 travel mugs.
Yeah.
Meet the Ratio 4, the first affordable and beautiful half-batch pour-over coffee machine. The 4 is our smallest brewer yet, says Mark, an agile, sleek machine that puts out between 5 and 20 ounces of coffee per batch. It has a removable water tank. It is small enough to fit on any countertop. It's built to last, backed by a 5-year warranty. You get all of the convenience of one of those little pods, a marsupod, but it's the good quality coffee simulating a skilled barista pour-over process. All of the taste, none of the work.
Yeah, it's great stuff. When I have had to, in desperation, go through the drive-through or go to, Bar Crux, to pick something up, it's never as good.
Never.
You can do this from your home. I've got the 4 in my office. It's wonderful. So, listeners, do yourself a favor. Go to ratiocoffee.com/adnauseam. That's ADNAVSEAM. Don't forget that V. And pick out one of these machines that you're interested in. And when you do so, enter this coupon code, ANRATIO, ANARATIO 2025, and that will get you $20 off your entire order.
This episode is also brought to you by a relatively new sponsor, our good friend Della Chelpka. Are you ready for art that truly speaks to your story?
I am.
Okay, good. Meet Della, a Tucson-based oil painter who captures the people, places, and moments you cherish with breathtaking detail. She has showcased her work in multiple galleries, illustrated books, and is often commissioned for standout projects. See her current works for sale at her website, dellachelpka.art. That's DELLACHELPKA.art. Find your inspiration, visit that website, and then, Jeff, what coupon code?
The coupon code is APELLES.
How do we spell that?
That's APELLES.
And what do we get as our discount?
10% off your entire order.
And why do we get it?
Because we want it now?
That's right.
Okay.
Check it out.
Check it out. This episode of Ad Nauseam is also brought to you by some of our favorite people out there, Hackett Publishing. These guys have been with us with our little podcast since nearly the very beginning. They took a chance on us and they stick with us. And they are one of these wonderful companies that is keeping the flame alive and bringing the classics as well as many other titles from across the globe in academia to the public at affordable prices and in an attractive package.
That's right. So today we're using their translation of Ovid's Metamorphoses by Stanley Lombardo, an introduction by the great Rafe Johnson. Mm-hmm. We also have translations of the Iliad, the Odyssey, Apollonius's Argonautica. We've got brand new translations of Aristotle coming out, all the Plato, but it's not just classics, titles from modern philosophy, Japanese and Asian studies, South American, you name it.
You name it. Yep.
So, Jeff, if the listeners want to build their library, what should they do?
They should go to hackettpublishing.com. That's HACKETT publishing.com. Check out their massive selection. Scroll through that catalog. Find the books that you want. Drop them in the little satchel. And if they use this coupon code, AN, like ad nauseum, AN2025, Dave, that'll get them
20% off and free shipping. And as we wrap up this segment, I have 2 words for Katria and Aaron.
You do? Okay.
Brackish tang. All right, Jeff, we get back to it. Now it's time for part 2. That is Pomona and Vertumnus.
Yes.
So get us started here.
Yeah, so once again, we have another tale of love. And what's really remarkable about this one is that it actually is requited.
You're kidding me.
This is one that works out. And
Ovid?
In Ovid. And one of the things that critics point out, and this is interesting to think about, trying to consider an ancient point of view versus a contemporary point of view.
Right.
Is that what people point out is that Pomona and Vertumnus, they wind up together. The setup is very similar. Pomona has no interest in falling in love. She is a dryad of the forest, and she wants to stay in the forest. And she kind of turns one suitor away after another. The difference is when Vertumnus comes along, he doesn't, like in the story we just read, he doesn't chase her. He doesn't attack her. He persuades her. He uses cunning. He uses shape-shifting, and she ultimately is persuaded.
But there's something so uncomfortable about the persuasion.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
It's in the guise of an old woman.
Yes, it is strange.
It is. It's very uncomfortable.
Right.
Dissettling.
But this is one that, from a contemporary point of view, that a lot of readers like is because he does not chase after like with.
Well, I like that part too. I mean, it's wooing, not violence.
Yes, right.
That is odd.
It is odd. Okay. Well, I'm going to read a little Latin.
Let's hear it.
So these are the opening 5 lines of this passage. This is from Book 14, starting with line 623. Rega sub hoc Pomona fuit qua nullus Latinas. Inter hamadria edas coluit solertius hortos, nec fuit arbore studiosior alter affectus. Unde tenet nomen non silas illa nec amnes, rusamat etra mos felicia poma ferentes.
Very nice. Lovely. Very nicely done.
It's always, I love reading the hexameter.
They're gorgeous. Gorge.
And how about, can you give us a little of the Lombardo translation?
Yeah, I can. So this is from page 460 of the translation. Pomona lived under this king. No other Latin wood nymph knew more about gardens or was more zealous in tending an orchard. Whence her name. She was not interested in forests or rivers. She loved the fields and trees laden with delicious ripe fruit. Her hand held no javelin, but a pruning hook, with which she restrained luxuriant growth, cut back spreading branches, or made in the bark an incision for grafting a twig in a branch to give it fresh sap. She kept all her trees well watered, irrigating their thirsty roots. This was her love. This was all her desire, and she had no interest in Venus at all.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, one observation immediately. So we were talking about characters being out of balance, nature versus civilization.
Right.
I think one of the things, if to read it through that lens, Pomona, one of the things that she has right is that she is a creature of nature.
Okay.
But she brings the civilized process of pruning and tending and irrigating to it. And so in some ways she's a creature of nature, but she is bringing the knowledge of civilization to bring things to a balanced whole. So she's already set. She doesn't need to bring Venus into this.
Right. Can I continue there with some Lombardo?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is still page 406. But he says, she did fear rape and shut herself up inside her orchard, keeping men at a distance.
Mm-hmm.
The dancing satyrs did everything they could to win her hand, as did the pine-wreathed Pans.
Mm-hmm.
And Sylvanus, always younger than his age, and Priapus, who scares off thieves with his sickle or his virile shaft. Vertumnus outdid them all in the art of love, but came off no better. How many times did he come dressed as a reaper and bring her a basket full of barley ears? What do you think, Jeff? Is that the right way to woo? A basket full of barley ears?
I think he's on the right track.
Okay.
If we compare him to these other suitors who failed, the satyrs,
right?
No, that's not going to work.
Right.
Pan,
right?
No.
Sylvanus, those guys.
Yeah, Priapus, definitely not Priapus, right? So we learned that she's already feeling, she's already fearing being attacked, right? And so all of those creatures are these lusty woodland spirits.
Yeah.
Where she says, no, that's exactly what I don't want.
So a basket full of barley ears, if you allow me to dilate for just a moment.
Okay.
This is a box of grape nuts. You know it.
You know it. Right. And I think it's important to note that at this point in the story, it doesn't work.
Okay.
She's not lured in by the grape nuts.
So when you were seeking the lovely Becca's hand in marriage,
yes,
is that what you brought? Box of grape nuts, like family size?
No. It would never would have worked out if I had showed up with a box of grape nuts or any other gravel-based cereal.
But he's taking the gentle approach.
Yes, right.
Not the pressure, fear, just... What can I do to win this girl over?
Exactly, and if you notice that the way that he's dressed, the implements that he's carrying, he's trying to mirror her. He says, "Look, I'm just like you. I'm a reaper. I'm a pruner.
Right.
We got all this stuff in common." So it doesn't work yet. But when I say that Vertumnus is on the right path, he gets something that the satyrs simply don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Steve Miller song. Actually,
What part?
I don't know. So, but then what tack does he take next?
Okay, well let me pick this up here. So a little bit more about his disguise. So often he would display his forehead bound with freshly cut hay. That's not going to work. Put hay on your head. Come on. And might seem to have been tossing the new mown grass. Often he would be carrying an ox goad in his stiff hand, so that you would swear he had just unyoked his weary team. Given a knife, he was a dresser and pruner of vines. Okay, there he's saying, look, we got this.
We got this in common.
He would carry a ladder. You would think he'd be picking apples. He was a soldier with a sword or a fisherman taking up his rod. Okay, now he's getting a little bit desperate.
Yeah, I would say so.
But eventually he decides that the best way is to put all of that stuff aside and disguise himself as an old woman. And this is the part that you find odd and creepy.
Yes. And leaning on a staff, this is page 407 of Lombardo, leaning on a staff, came as an old woman into the immaculate orchard and said as he admired the fruit, "But you are much better." And he kissed her 2 or 3 times, kisses such as no real old woman would ever have given.
Okay, again, this is
Ovid?
weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a little much, Ovid. Then, all hunched over, he sat on the grass and gazed at the branches heavy with autumn's fruit. Now, wouldn't Pomona be kind of suspicious, right? She'd be onto this, wouldn't she?
You would think so, right? And so here we are in book 14. We're getting near the end of the collection. And I wonder if part of Ovid's tongue in cheek is the fact that Pomona she is wary, and she has been keeping these guys at arm's length because she's already read the first 13 14 books. It says, okay, I know how this story goes.
Exactly.
Right. But yes, this is very strange.
Yeah.
And again, it's a very odd detail. We have this. He's now an old woman, but he's also kissing her in a way that
an old woman would
never
kiss.
do this. Yes.
It's also important, I think, to remember that this is partly the Italian landscape. This is not set in Greece.
Yes.
Now, I wouldn't want to make too much of this, and there's got to be a good article on it. But I think the general consensus in Ovidian studies is that he treats the native stories, the Italian stories, a little bit differently than the ones that come from Greece.
Yeah.
In part because he doesn't have such a long backstory for them.
Yes, exactly.
He's inventing them a little bit, even though they do interact sometimes with Greek precedents, and maybe there are Etruscan or Sabine myths in the air, you might say.
Right. That's a good point. I was reading one critic who said that this story is the most purely Latin of the stories, in that there's not, like you were saying, not a Greek background and likely has an Etruscan origin.
Right.
And I think that's important to consider. I think that does kind of add a flavor to this that the others don't. And maybe Ovid is trying to say something about distinguishing Roman from Greek.
Yes.
Culturally and morally to some degree.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But then the next part, which, I really want to hear from you, is that he turns into a sylvan Cicero, right? Disguised as an old man. Now suddenly he's the world's greatest orator sitting next to an oak tree.
Yes. So Klein translates from there like this. It says, there was a specimen elm opposite covered with gleaming bunches of grapes. And after he had praised it and its companion vine, he said, but if that tree stood there, unmated without its vine, it would not be sought after for more than its leaves. And the vine also, which is joined to and rests on the elm, would lie on the ground if it were not married to it and leaning on it. Now this is brilliant. Now, never mind kind of the weird old woman thing.
Okay.
This is persuasive. He is using the language of the forest, the language of cultivation.
That she loves.
That she loves to convince her that you need to be married as well.
You would be more fruitful. You would be more happy, more fulfilled.
Yeah.
If you would attach yourself to, I don't know, someone like maybe Vertumnus.
Vertumnus. Right.
Just to pick a name at random.
Klein goes on. But you are not moved by this tree's example, and you shun marriage and do not care to be wed. I wish that you did. And then he taps into mythic examples. Helen would not have had more suitors to trouble her, or Hippodamia, who caused the Lapiths problems, or Penelope, wife of that Ulysses, who was delayed too long at war. Even now 1,000 men want you, and the demigods and the gods and the divinities that haunt the Alban hills, though you shun them and turn away from their wooing.
Now, if I can interrupt.
Yeah.
Is this flattery?
Well, this is more shaming, I would think.
No, I would say this is flattery.
Well,
you'd have more wooers than Helen. You'd have more wooers than Hippodamia, than Penelope.
Yeah.
1,000. This is flattery.
I think by comparison, yes, he's flattering her. But he says, but you, not you. You're not moved by this tree's example. You're too good for it.
You start with a box of grape nuts.
Yes, and then you move to a bowl of.
I don't know. You move to some horticultural comparison. Then you break out the mythological references.
Yes.
But then you say it's shaming?
Well, I mean, I think he uses the intro hook is shaming, but you're not moved by this tree's example. The sense is like, if you were in your right mind,
right.
you would be.
But then he goes, it seems to me, on to self-interest.
Okay.
Right? So to read just a couple lines of Lombardo here. But if you are wise and want to make a good match, and would listen to this old woman who loves you more than all the rest, more than you can believe. So that's an elbow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ovid's looking at the audience when he says that, right? He can't avoid a joke.
You can't, right?
So it's a mix of creepy and funny.
It is funny too, and maybe even Vertumnus is in talking to Pomona, he realized that Pomona knows what's up.
You think so?
Maybe.
Isn't she presented as kind of dim-witted?
I don't know. I don't think so. Not necessarily.
Well, I think it's like a comic aside.
Yeah.
Something you'd find in Plautus or Terence. It's almost like a Plautine comedy, it seems.
True. Yeah.
You would reject all the common offers of marriage and choose Vertumnus for your bedmate.
Yes. Yeah, you have my assurance as well. He is not better known to himself than he is to me. He does not.
That's a joke.
He does not wander here and there in the wide world. Right? So he's a local guy.
He likes to stay home.
Yep. He lives on his own in this place, so he's got his own apartment.
Right.
He does not love the latest girl he has seen, as most of your suitors do. So he's not a player.
Right.
Like he says, choose the nice guy for once.
So
right?
let's follow through again, and not to be too repetitive, but box of grape nuts.
Yep.
Horticultural reference. You want to be fruitful like this tree.
Yes.
Then we have
mythological parallels.
Yep. Then we have self-interest. Then what about Vertumnus? Let me speak on his behalf. Right? He's a local boy. He doesn't have a wandering eye. He's perfect.
This is brilliant. He's his own wingman.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
This is great. Right. And so,
Now, the wingman,
yeah.
Right? That's a young person kind of reference. Can you explain that?
A wingman, that's so someone like if you were going down to the local watering hole and hope to meet a lovely young lady.
Right.
You have your friend along. And your friend's job is to kind of talk you up.
To sing your praises.
Sing your praise and say, I've got this guy you got to meet.
Smooth over the awkward moments, that kind of thing.
Exactly right. Just kind of pave the way, roll out the carpet.
Make it easy.
And so Vertumnus has found a way to do it for himself as this old woman.
Yeah. By transforming himself, not into an animal, but into an old woman.
Right.
And then singing Vertumnus's praises. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is an episode of requited love that does not end in a a transformation of from human into animal,
Right.
But it's loaded with the male lover in the story already kind of taking the power transformation into his own hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is, I would say, epideictic oratory, right?
Yeah.
The oratory of display, and it's a laudatio, it's a praise in favor of himself.
Yes.
But he can only pull it off because he's disguised as the old lady. So what happens?
So, Vertumnus goes on. He says, you, Pomona, will be his first love, and you will be his last, and he will devote his life only to you. And this kind of language of till death do us part is also fairly strikingly unique.
Yes, I agree.
And then he is young, is blessed with a natural charm, can take on a fitting appearance, whatever is ordered. And although you ask all, he will do. So he can look like however you want him to look.
Yeah, so Lombardo says that then too he is young, charming, and can assume any form he likes and whatever form you want. This should make Pomona, wait a minute. But she doesn't seem to catch on.
She doesn't. Yeah, so that's where you see kind of the dim-wittedness maybe kind of lurking in the background. Yes. Besides that which you love the same, those apples you cherish, he is the first to have, and with joy holds your gifts in his hand. So Vertumnus, as a god, is associated with the ripening fruit and the harvest of fall, just as Pomona is. So they're a good match. Yep.
Okay. But then within that, we have a story within a story that we don't have time to deal with. This is Iphis and Anaxarete.
Yes.
And he uses that, right?
As a cautionary tale.
As a cautionary tale. Can you just summarize what's the caution that he gives?
Well, I mean, it's that story, kind of within the story, is very much like most of the other kind of unrequited stories, where it's a story of where someone who has scorned love and pays for it dearly.
Okay, so don't scorn offered love when it's good.
Exactly, right.
Well, maybe someday we can come back and do another vignette on Iphis and Anaxarete.
Yes, right. This reminds me. It just popped in my head. Do you remember the Tom Petty song "You Got Lucky"?
Definitely not.
You don't know that one?
No.
But I mean, the whole kind of the premise behind it is Tom is singing to a girl, basically saying, "You don't know what you got, and you got lucky when you found me."
Oh, okay.
Right, and you better just kind of appreciate what's in front of you. Otherwise, you're going to wreck your life.
Got it.
It's a very similar kind of tone.
So that's what Vertumnus, as the old lady, is doing.
Right. So that story is told, and then we get this nice little coda on the other side of the tale. So when Vertumnus the god, disguised in the shape of the old woman, had spoken, but to no effect, he went back to being a youth and threw off the dress of an old woman and appeared to Pomona in the glowing likeness of the sun when it overcomes contending clouds and shines out unopposed. Now this is interesting. He was ready to force her. He said, so all my persuasion didn't work, so he said, I'm just going to do what all these other guys in these poems have done. But no force was needed. And the nymph, captivated by the form of the god, felt a mutual passion. So I think the kind of the contemporary lesson here is, guys, just be yourself.
You think?
That's all she wanted.
Are you pulling a moral from this?
I am.
Okay.
Right. I don't know if it's the correct one, but when did she finally come to love him? Not when he was doing all his song and dance and all the different disguises, but when he appeared as his true self. Now she's on board, and he didn't have to resort to violence.
Well, that resonates. Leaving aside the violence, right? That resonates because I think a lot of young people, here I'm going to sound like an old man, a lot of young people, the love's not requited because maybe... What's that famous song, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Who is that?
It's some country dude.
Okay.
I can't remember.
It's not Conway Twitty, is it?
It might be.
Really?
Someone's going to correct us on this.
I hope so. If I get corrected on a Conway Twitty reference,
I'd be fine with that.
I'd be fine with that. Is just be yourself.
Just be yourself.
And if the person that you want to be with doesn't like yourself, why would you want to be with them anyway?
Exactly. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a very contemporary way of looking at it, but I think there's something there.
It's contemporary or it's Ovidian?
Well, I think it's both.
It's both and. That's what you're going to say.
Yes.
Well, should we wrap it up here, Jeff?
Yeah, one last thing, though,
yes,
for our C.S. Lewis fans. I don't think Lewis was on record saying this, but most people think that his Mr. Tumnus,
there's no doubt,
is a version of our Vertumnus.
Yes,
here, right?
But how does that sit with you, so to speak?
I love it.
You do? When I first found out about it, I was a little uneasy.
What made you uneasy about that?
I was uneasy about the fact that Mr. Tumnus in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and other places is presented as a weak character in that he's easily frightened and he ends up betraying, Lucy and so forth.
Yes.
But he's by and large wholesome.
Yes.
Right? He's a wholesome, endearing character. But he's a satyr or a faun. I guess he's a faun. Fauns are not presented in classical myth as wholesome characters at all.
No.
And I don't think that this character, Vertumnus, is especially wholesome.
No, I don't think so either. I saw more kind of a bird's eye view of the symbolism that Vertumnus, Mr. Tumnus, is representative of fall, and so therefore he kind of proceeds and points to the White Witch of winter, and so it's kind of like symbolically one kind of points to the next. But yeah,
I thought that maybe Lewis was just looking for a good name.
Yeah,
which it is.
Yeah,
and then writing a good character, which I think he is, but then highly sanitized.
Yeah.
Both the faun and, the character of the faun and the character of Vertumnus for what's ultimately a children's story.
Right. Yeah.
So, but that's fine.
I think that's fine as well. Yeah. So you're right. I think it's a great name, and maybe, trying to plumb the depths of its mythological meaning is going too far.
Yes, probably so. But Jeff, we got to get out of here, do we not?
I hear some banging on the door.
That would be the AOS.
Wait, who are they?
The American Ornithological Society.
Well, we have been talking about birds.
We have.
Did we step on some toes?
We stepped on some feet. Or it could be the WOS.
Oh, what's that?
The Wilson Ornithological Society that encourages the study of birds.
Yes.
With a strong emphasis on supporting young ornithologists and amateur contributions.
I see. So you're young birders out there. This is your group, right?
That's right. They want to get in. They don't like the way we treated Caix and Alcyone.
Right.
They don't like the way we treated Aesacus. They seem to be neutral toward Vertumnus and Pomona.
We're probably both of us a little bit too old, to be getting into birding. They want to
think so.
Yeah, so maybe they're upset that we're not going to bringing in the young folks.
That's probably true.
All right. So I don't want to irritate them any further.
No, I don't either.
So
we don't want to have a flap.
No. Exactly. So let's get out of here, Dave. But before we do so, how can our readers learn some Latin and Greek?
Well, if you would like to learn how to read Latin dactylic hexameters, as the good Dr. Winkle just did from Ovid, you're going to want to sign up for one of my courses. Go to latinperdiem.com and check out the LLPSI course for Latin. It takes you ab initio, from the ground up. We'll be teaching you how to read Latin, how to write Latin, how to speak Latin, how to snore in Latin, if you'd like to. You want to enter this coupon code to sign up for one of the Latin courses or a Greek one, and that code is 10+, 10+, gets you 10% off everything on the website. The Greek course has been very successful. We have students from all over the world getting together to study Greek. Just this morning in our office hours, we had a scholar from the Netherlands joining us, some folks from California, some folks from New York. It's a great time.
Fantastic. Excellent. How about, so that's for Greek, and they can learn some Latin too?
You can take a master class on Juvenal, on John Calvin, Theodore Beza, Erasmus, Cicero. There's a wide range of offerings. So to conclude this portion, if you don't want to learn Greek or Latin, I can understand that. But if you think you can't, it's too expensive, too difficult, then you are mistaken. And here is the way you can remedy that problem.
Fantastic.
Jeff, we have to thank some people.
Yes, Mishka, our wonderful engineer, puts us together so quickly, makes us sound so much better than we actually are. And how about this guitarist, Jeff Sheets?
Yes, I love his playing. He gives us the Thrill Seeker, which is the opening and outro music. The thrill is studying classical literature.
Indeed.
Also, the bumper music, one of his compositions called Rush Hour. This friend of mine lives in Kansas City. He's a world-class disc dogger. He throws frisbees to his dogs. They catch them and do all kinds of acrobatic things. It's phenomenal.
Fantastic.
And we're so grateful for his generosity in sharing his music with us.
Yes. And listeners, if you want to get in touch with us, you got a question, you got a suggestion, you want a shout out, don't hesitate to drop us a line. You can get in touch with Dave at adnauseum.com. Don't forget that V.
Or Jeff at nauseum.com. There is a V in ad nauseum. Please don't forget.
Yes.
And Jeff, what's on tap for next week?
I think we're going to go back to Mr. Maru.
H.I. Maru?
It's been a while.
It feels like we've been marued on a desert island, doesn't it?
That's exactly what it feels like.
We're going to maru the day we neglected him.
And other puns.
That's correct.
Yes.
So the last time we covered H.I. Maru, it was Tuesday, April 1st. Interesting, April 1st. Yeah. And that was part 16 of A History of Education in Antiquity, episode 179.
Yeah.
So this will be part 17.
All right.
Plunge ahead.
Indeed.
Now, Jeff, you have our gustatory parting shot.
It is true. And this comes from one Josh Barkin.
Okay.
And this is from a book called, you found this is a book called Mexico?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was sitting at the southern portion of my pile of books.
Okay. And he writes, it may sound crazy, But people like to eat what they are. If they have voracious habits they can't change, they like sweet foods. If they are tight with their money, they prefer to eat bread and mashed potatoes.
This is strange. Okay.
If they are flamboyant, they like to eat elaborately thin vegetables, fried and piled up high like a fancy hat. We are all cannibals, eating the secrets we have within.
So, Jeff, just real quick, what do you think of that?
I'm going to start piling many different foods into the shape of a fancy hat.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.